What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe is a horror thriller film that follows a 3-person thief squad that all desire a little bit more out of their lives than what they're currently experiencing in modern day Detroit. But one day they receive some intel that a blind man is sitting on a large amount of cash locked away somewhere in his home, and the trio decide they're gonna break in, steal the cash, and start over someplace new. But this blind man turns out to be much more dangerous than they originally anticipated, and once he realizes intruders have entered his home, things get very crazy very quickly. The rest of the film is spent with our two main characters, Rocky and Alex, as they attempt to escape with not only their lives, but the money they're searching for as well. Okay, so personally I think this is a pretty good movie with a handful of quality strengths and a few weaknesses. The first strength being the story. This is a very unique premise for a film that the filmmakers execute at mostly a very high level. The majority of this film is built on the suspense of whether or not the blind man is going to be able to locate our beloved thieves, and since he obviously can't see them, most of this movie is like a game of cat and mouse. This movie also does a really good job of making you feel claustrophobic because Alex and Rocky simply cannot find a means of escape no matter what. They are literally trapped and trying to break out of this house that they just broke into hours before. While overall this story is strong, there are points where it's not so strong. There are some very cliche horror elements to our main characters as well as elements to the story in general that progress the plot along in inconsistent ways. For example, there are some cases where the blind man can pick up the scent of our two main characters and he tracks them that way, and then there's some cases where he just can't, and this is pretty inconsistent. There's also moments where our characters will just do maddeningly dumb things, sort of like that scary movie scene when Carmen Electra picks up the banana, just to progress this story and make it more suspenseful. There's also a plot point later on in this movie that felt very unnecessary to the story being told. It seems like it was just thrown in there to add some shock value and horror to this movie, but this movie is not necessarily a horror film in my opinion. It's mostly built upon thriller elements, and this scene felt like it just didn't need to be there. But the thriller aspects of this film are incredibly well done. This is one of the most suspenseful films I've seen in a while. It's not overly scary or anything, it's just a nicely executed thriller film. Rocky and Alex are trying to escape from this blind man's prison, and in the process of doing this, they're slowly finding out more and more about the dark secrets this man is hiding. They bit off more than they can chew, and they're paying for it quite dearly. I did like the characters overall because all three of them were very clearly defined and they each served a specific purpose. These characters are simple, but for this kind of movie, that's mostly what they need to be. The film attempts to throw in some backstory here and there, but it ultimately doesn't amount to much because it's never really explored in any significant way, which was honestly fine by me. I like that this movie is focused on a period of like a couple hours and not much more. Our characters are living in the here and now, and the stakes are very high. I also like the fact that there really is no good or bad guy. I mean, you don't want Alex and Rocky to die or anything, but they did break into this blind man's house to steal a small fortune of his, so I mean him trying to kill them isn't completely out of the realm of possibility for a course of action you might take for home intruders threatening you and trying to steal your shit. But the acting was great from all three characters. The blind man was played by Stephen Lang, and he absolutely nailed this role. He's intimidating, he's scary as hell, and I never once felt like, that seemed unrealistic for a blind man. He really felt blind. He was the best character in this movie for me, and I truly believe you'll be captivated by him just like I was. Alex, played by Minette, was also very good in this movie. There's some hints that he has some feelings for Rocky, and you'll see that he looks out for her well-being even over his own in several cases. Rocky, played by Jane Levy, is really good in this movie. Her display of fear and just raw emotion was off the charts good in this film. In a lot of scary movies, the characters will act scared, but as the viewer, you just never really feel the pure fear out of that character. But in Rocky's case, you can 100% feel it. Jane Levy did an amazing job in this role, and she brought a lot to this film as its main character. So like I said, this movie is not incredibly scary. It's just tense and suspenseful. There's not much actual horror or gore, so if you come into this one expecting more thriller than horror, I don't think you'll be disappointed. There are a handful of well-timed jump scares that worked really well, but there's not a ton of these like there are in most horror movies. So my guess is you'll be entertained, but not super scared by this movie. Technically, this film is very well shot and edited, and the sound is insanely good. Considering the main antagonist is a blind man, the quality of sound is important to him, and therefore it should be to you as the viewer as well. And the filmmakers did a really good job delivering on that front. In regards to the cinematography and editing, all the shots, even in low light, looked great, and the film flowed very smoothly throughout. The technical aspects of this film are executed to a T, and I gotta give the production crew kudos on a job well done in that department. Okay, so overall, I think this is a pretty good film. I thought it had a very good story with a unique premise. strong acting performances, a high level of suspense and drama, and great technical execution. I also felt the story had some cliche horror elements, there were inconsistent plot points that progressed the story in unusual ways, and one particular scene felt completely out of place and unnecessary. I'm gonna give this film an 8 out of 10 and recommend that you go see it in theaters if you're looking for a well done thriller film. So did you guys see Don't Breathe yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. That's all for now. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.